Let's talk, because not understanding the difference between your visa and your immigration status may get you deported. In fact, it's the most common innocent error I see as an immigration attorney. Your visa is placed inside your passport. It's what you receive when you go to a US consulate abroad. It's the document that's pasted inside the passport and allows you to apply for entry into the United States. This is what most people think of when they think of immigration status. And in fact, it can be confusing because attorneys and civilians use the two terms interchangeably very frequently. It's become very common for people to say, "Oh, what's your visa?" when they really mean, "What's your status?" Many visas, such as B visas, are issued for multiple years. For example, a B visa is generally issued for 10 years. Now, the key there is it does not allow you to remain inside the United States for 10 years. It just allows you to use that visa to apply for entry over a 10-year period. We'll discuss this more when we step into status next. The big key difference I want you to understand is you can stay inside the United States if your visa expires, but you can't remain inside the United States if your status expires. And yes, your status may change after your initial entry using your visa. We'll discuss this more as we go. So, if a visa is the most common document people think of, then what is immigration status? Well, immigration status is the immigration category you have while you're inside the United States. This is determined by your Form I-94. Now, a lot of people have never heard of the Form I-94, especially in recent years, because the I-94 used to be stapled inside your passport when you entered the United States, but now it's issued electronically. And so if you don't look it up online, then you don't know what it says. When most people enter the United States, they go to the border official, they give them their passport, they state why they're coming, and they see the stamp come. And the stamp will tells them their category and when they must depart the United States. But what they may not realize is that they are also issued a Form I-94 online. This form contains the same information, but it is what immigration agencies rely on to determine your status. Your Form I-94 will tell you your visa category, how long you're allowed to remain inside the United States, and have your own personal details. You can easily look this up online by Googling I-94. It's usually the first or second hit on Google, but I'll also leave a link in the description so you can find it for yourself. If you don't feel comfortable finding this on your own, then keep watching the video because I'll show you how to locate this online and how to read it. Another thing to note about the I-94 is that it may change while you are inside the United States. You will be issued an I-94 when you cross the border, but if you change status or extend status, then you will be issued an I-94 on your approval notice. Some people may not realize this, but it's at the bottom of the notice, usually on the second page, and it'll tell you how long you are admitted into the United States. So why does this really matter? Let's use the B visa as an example. Let's say you're an applicant and you received a B visa from a US consulate and it's valid for 10 years. You may think that that means you can remain inside the United States for 10 years, but that's incorrect. And relying on that belief may get you deported or at least cause immigration problems for you down the road. Although B visas are issued for 10 years, when you enter the United States, you will most likely only receive a 6-month stay in B status. This is determined by your I-94. You can also usually see this date in your passport. Note, sometimes the passport date and the I-94 date don't match. And if that's the case, you really need to either talk to an attorney or go to a Customs and Border Patrol deferred inspection site to have it corrected. Now, during that 6-month stay, you may decide that you need to remain inside the United States longer. For example, you may file an extension application. If that's the case, you can apply to extend your B visa, and on your approval notice, you'll receive a new I-94 number that will most likely give you 6 more months inside the country. This is the same thing that would happen if you changed from B status to H-1B status, or R status, or some other immigration status. What I want you to remember is that the I-94 controls how long you can remain inside the United States. And if you confuse this, then immigration officers may deport you. What happens is, at the end of your authorized stay, you start to accrue something called unlawful presence. So if your I-94 says that you can only remain inside the United States until January 1st, 2023, and you stay past that date, let's say until February 1st, 2023, then you have accrued 1 month of unlawful presence. After you have accrued 6 months of unlawful presence, then you will not be able to enter the United States for 3 years. It's called a 3-year bar. If you have accrued 1 year or more of unlawful presence, then you'll have a 10-year bar to re entering the United States. And while there may be waivers that allow you to return, it's a difficult, frustrating, and quite frankly, expensive process. This is why understanding the difference between a visa and your immigration status is so important. Okay, so let's look at some examples. All right, what I want to do is show you a sample US visa. I'm going to pull up this template from the US State Department's website. What you'll first see is that on the left, it will have your photo. This is pretty typical, and I think most people are familiar with seeing visas like this. The next thing you're going to see is the control number. This is your US visa number. It comes up occasionally, but for the most part, you can ignore this portion. Probably the most confusing part for people who are not familiar with US visas are the visa type and class. The visa type is almost always R, and that just stands for regular. Some people think that means it's the visa class, and they think, oh no, I wanted a B visa, and they gave me an R visa. Is this going to be a problem? No, it's not a problem. What you'll see next to that is your class. So if you have a B visa, you'll see B. If you have an R visa, you'll see R. If an H visa, you'll see H, etc. Below that, you'll see your issue date and your expiration date. Again, this just allows you to use the visa at the US border during these dates. You could be 2 days before your visa expires and still use it to enter the United States. In the case of a B visa example, let's say you've had it for 10 years, you're 2 days before the expiration date and you want to come to the US, you present your visa, they let you in, and a big question many people have is, oh no, will I have to depart after 2 days? No, you'll still receive most likely a 6 month stay, even though your visa expires, because your visa only matters when you apply at the border. Once you're inside the country, it's your Form I-94 that will tell you how long you can stay. So let's discuss how you can find that. The first thing we're going to do is Google I-94. For me, this always returns the I-94 website as the first hit. If you're uncomfortable with that or you're not sure if you can find that, just go to the video description here and click on the link. Once you're on the I-94 webpage, you'll see at the top of the page, there's a link that says Get Most Recent I-94. You can also scroll down a little and you'll see another link that says the same thing. After you click on that, a Terms of Service pop-up will appear. You need to accept that before you can continue. This page is where you'll enter your details, your name, your date of birth, your citizenship, and then what some people get confused about is the document number. This is referring to your passport number, so enter that there and click Next. Once you've clicked Next, you'll see your I-94 data. Let's talk about it. What you're going to find at the top is your I-94 number. This becomes important when you apply for any extensions or changes of status. If you're only entering the United States one time and you intend to depart, then you probably will never need this. Below that, though, is the important information. It says admitted until. This is the date that you must depart the United States by. So if it says that you're admitted until July 2024, then well, it wouldn't say July, let's say July 1st, 2024, then you must depart the United States before that date or you'll start to accrue unlawful presence. Once you're accruing unlawful presence, you could be deported and may prohibit you from submitting other immigration applications, or you may have those 3 and 10-year bars that we discussed previously. I always advise clients to check their I-94 with their passport to make sure all of this information aligns. It should have your name, the correct passport number, and the date, the admitted until date on the Form I-94 should match the passport stamp you received when you entered the country. Again, if it doesn't, then you should discuss it with an attorney or go to a Customs and Border Patrol deferred inspection site. I'll leave a link to where you can find those sites in the description as well, just in case it's helpful. Okay, and those are the most important differences between a visa and your immigration status. I hope this was helpful. Leave any questions you have in the comments and I'll try to respond. Okay, bye for now.